is your no bullshit guide to a happier life. Quick, but not necessarily easy tips to help you to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of your business and your life. My name is Helen Calvert. I'm a coach, a business owner and a parent, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I do swear occasionally, as the title suggests, so pop in your headphones if I'm not safe for little ears. Ready to go? Let's do this. Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed, disconnected, and stuck in life's endless hamster wheel? Imagine a space where you receive expert guidance exactly when you need it, belong to a supportive community that respects your comfort zone, engage actively or quietly observe, discover simple, actionable strategies to create meaningful change, and have a blueprint for reclaiming happiness on your terms. The Happier Life Hub helps you banish the bullshit and live your happiest life. Join us today for just £20 per month by visiting happier-life.co.uk/hub. My hope is that this becomes your default place to turn when you're struggling or just need fresh ideas, like having me in your pocket whenever you need a boost. The world isn't built with your well-being in mind. Daily, we're bombarded with messages designed to keep us small, exhausted, and disconnected from our true selves. The Happier Life Hub is your gentle revolution against mediocrity, a warm, supportive resource centre to help you understand who you truly are and how you naturally thrive, create a life that genuinely supports your well-being, break free from societal expectations that drain your energy, and find fulfillment individually and collectively foster harmonious living. Do you wish for a single place where wisdom is easy to find and access, expert guidance without the commitment or expense of one-to-one coaching, and a space that boosts your confidence, enhances your emotional safety, and fosters belonging? I've got you covered. The Happier Life Hub is open and ready to welcome you. Join us today for just £20 per month by visiting happier-life.co.uk/hub or visit the show notes for this episode. Hello and welcome to this episode where we are going to be talking about how are you? Simple question or not. We are going to explore why that is not a simple question. If you are neurodivergent, or maybe if you're just like me, because this is a personal one, but one that I know resonates with others, because I first raised this at my recent Happier Life Live event in Greater Manchester. And now I have people who were there coming up to me and saying, how are you? Like we all do. It's just reflex, isn't it? How are you? And then they say, oh, no, wait, that's a stupid question, which I love. I love that I have been able to communicate how I feel about that question. Because the honest answer to that question is I've no bloody idea, which I now feel comfortable saying to a lot of people. So let's go back a little bit. How did we get to a place where I felt this was what I wanted to communicate? So, as you will know, if you have listened to a few more of the episodes in this season is all about neurodivergence and the autistic experience and things I've learned through becoming self-diagnosed autistic. And you will know, if you've listened to a few of the existing episodes, that I went through a period of autistic burnout for about 5 months over the winter of 2024 to 25. And it turns out I've been there a few times in my life. I just didn't realise what it was. And what that meant was that I lost a lot of my communication abilities. And I was still able to create social media posts, record podcasts, all of that kind of thing. Mainly because being seen and being heard are my way of maintaining my emotional safety. So for some people, it feels safer to hide away. For me, it always feels safer to be seen. So if ever you think I'm brave or inspirational or any of those other lovely compliments I get when I'm public speaking or podcasting or anything else. No, I'm just trying to stay safe the same way the rest of us are. It's just I don't stay safe by hiding. So I was still able to do all of that, but my day-to-day interactions and back and forths with people were severely compromised. And that's very common in autistic burnout. We lose certain skills. And it helped me to recognize things that I find difficult or even exhausting, that when I'm not in burnout, I kind of just get on with. And this "how are you" question was one of them. So we know that neurodivergent people often struggle with small talk. To be honest, I haven't bothered with small talk for years. I only do big talk. But something as simple as being asked, "How are you?" can really get my mind into what I would call a stall state, as in an engine stalling. And there will be loads of other things that do this for you, that do this for your neurodivergent friends. This is just one example. So, what happens in my brain when I hear, "How are you?" Right, let's go through some of the things that then happen in my brain. So firstly, well, I've no idea how I am. Do you mean my emotions, my physical health, how I am on the outside, how I am on the inside? Genuinely, I've no idea. I'm probably in the middle of doing something where we've met up somewhere. There's a lot going on. I've got thoughts in my head. I honestly don't know how I am. So, shall I just do the socially acceptable thing and say I'm fine? But that isn't true. And especially if I'm in burnout, I can't really cope with being inauthentic. That just, it just is painful to just do that inauthentic thing of just say you're fine, whatever. Can I ignore the question? Well, no. This one obviously relates much more to text messages, emails. Obviously, if I'm in front of you, I'm not ignoring you. But then equally, if I'm in front of you, I'm probably doing okay because I'm out the house and I'm with you. But with messages, I can't just ignore the question because that means I'm being a horrible person. And then people will abandon me. Oh, I have a very strong abandonment fear. That's probably a podcast for another day, veering into a bit of attachment theory and trauma there. So, can't ignore the question. Okay, then what comes to me is surely this person already knows how I am. Now, this is a very autistic thought process because I share loads on my social media. You know, I'm all over LinkedIn and Instagram, bit of TikTok. I share lots to my mailing list. I do podcasts. I share things all the time about how I am and what I'm thinking and what's happening for me. So surely if this person cares about me, and they obviously do because they've asked how I am, surely they know how I am because they must have consumed all my content, which I've made so that I don't have to actually answer this question, which, as I say, is a very, very autistic thought process. Or shall I just tell them the truth? Absolutely not. That is far too risky. Why is telling the truth far too risky? Okay, so let's have a look at that. Well, they might give me solutions. God forbid. Oh my word, they might give me solutions to how I am, how I really am. Then I'm going to have to find the energy to either fake gratitude or I'm going to end up saying what I really think, which is fuck off. Don't want solutions. Or worse, they might give me sympathy. Oh, they might send hugs or talk to me as if I'm a child. Again, much like some of the other episodes this season, you're getting a real insight into my brain here. So it's a vulnerable one, but I find being patronized very, very difficult. And since I was very young, I have taken a lot of expressions of sympathy as being patronized, rightly or wrongly. That's just how they land. Or if I tell them the truth, they won't know what to say. They're just going to be a bit overwhelmed, so they'll withdraw and I'll feel abandoned. Oh my goodness, I've been abandoned again. It's complicated, this, isn't it? My word, the inner workings of my brain. Or they will tell me that I should feel differently about what's happening to me. So I'll feel either that I've been very naughty, that's another big trigger for my poor little brain, very naughty girl, I've been very naughty, feeling the way I'm feeling, or I feel as though they hate me, I've done something wrong, they don't like me, or both, because they're kind of connected, aren't they? Or the reason they've actually asked me this question, how am I, is because they want me to say, oh, I'm fine, how are you? Because actually they want my support. Oh, Lord, I haven't got the energy to support anybody else. But I can't say nothing. We've already covered the fact that I can't ignore the question. I can't ignore the message. Someone has been kind enough to reach out to me and express that they care. I can't ignore them. But equally, I can't say anything either. So I go into shutdown, panic. My brain, as I say, it stalls like an engine that's stuttering but not firing. All because of the question, how are you? I mean, that says it all, doesn't it? It really explains some of the exhaustion of being neurodivergent when something as simple as how are you can, on a bad day or in a burnout day, can push you into shutdown. Now, this is my experience, and as I say, having explained this at an event, I know that it resonates with a lot of other people, but equally, it may not resonate with you at all. This might not be your experience. You may have no problem with that question. It's not a universal at all. I'm certainly not saying that everyone who's neurodivergent struggles with that question. I do not speak for the entire autistic community, would you believe? But what I do know is that everyone has different communication preferences. And whilst we should not be expected to understand and go along with all of those all of the time, because that would be crazy, we have to have certain social norms and ways of being, because there's a lot of people on this planet. But the people that you care about, the people that you really want to know you are there for and you want to express love to, it would be really good to find out what their actual communication preferences are. And equally, the people that you want support from yourself, how much of a gift to them to actually tell them what your communication preferences are. Because then we can actually help each other and care for each other and communicate with each other in a way that really works. Because I know that the question, how are you, means you're interested and you care. I mean, you might just be being polite, in which case, whatever. But I'm assuming you're interested and you care. But there are more accessible questions that you can ask me if you genuinely want to check in with me and show that you care about me. So I'll tell you what those are for me, not because I necessarily want everyone to learn these, and certainly not because I think these are right for everyone, but because I want us all to be thinking about what our individual preferences would be. So for me, the best ways of checking in with me are to ask, how can I care for you today? It might sound similar to how are you, but it's not. And what would you like to talk about today? So the first one gives me the opportunity to say, you can leave me be, if that's what I need, and it's actually a reasonable response to the question. The second question, what would you like to talk about today, is an absolute gift. Because I've heard it said a few times that autistic people are much like vampires. We have to be invited in. We're not going to just tell you what we want to talk about, what's actually happening for us, unless you specifically ask, because we're very used to being told that we're too much, how we're communicating is wrong, we're being too intense, we're going on too much because we info dump, and as children we probably info dumped and were told, oh my god, you're such a chatterbox. I definitely got told that one. Or okay, you can stop going on about it now. Or we were shut down in some way. So we're not just going to respond to how are you with, well, blah, 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 because we've learned that that is not acceptable. But if you invite us to talk about what we actually want to talk about, we absolutely love it. And that is how you will find out what is uppermost in my mind, what's really happening for me, if that's what you want to know. Now, as lovely as it is to be able to share that, and it's a privilege to be able to share that with you all, everyone's going to have different preferences. So I think what's really important is for you to think about, what are the questions that you really wish people would ask you if they want to check in with you? What would be your questions? Or do you not want questions? We had a few different answers at the event. One of them was quite a few people liked being asked, how is your energy today? A few people just like to be asked if somebody wants to meet up with them. So rather than trying to have like a text message conversation, they just want someone to say, shall we meet for coffee and let's book it in. We had people who said, oh my God, just don't ask me questions. Just start talking to me. If you want to talk to me, just start talking to me. Don't ask me anything. So there's a real variety of preferences. But the important thing is to think about, what are yours? And who do you wish knew that? And can you tell them? And if you struggle to tell them, can you maybe send them this podcast so you can say, have a listen to this, and then my questions are, and ask them what theirs would be. Some people are going to say, I'm fine with being asked, how are you? But it's actually a really interesting one when you think about it, and when you think about what your preferences could be. You know, because we've all got different brains. But I think understanding that really simple interactions like how are you can present quite big difficulties is a great example of, as I say, how exhausting it can be to be autistic, have ADHD, be neurodivergent in some way. And I have learned, I'm not one for science, and I think I said this in a previous episode, but I have learned that autistic brains are literally physically different from allistic brains, from non-autistic brains. So we have actual, physical differences in our brains, which could explain why, we see things or hear things or feel things so differently. And, the answer to how we are at the moment for a lot of neurodivergent people is pretty pissed off, anxious, overwhelmed, and outraged, because if you're listening to this when I'm recording it in kind of early to mid 2025, we have been dragged into the culture wars as the latest thing to mock, discredit, dismiss, vilify. It's hard enough to get our families to understand our neurodivergent challenges without the media stoking that fire. So our rejection sensitivity is high, and everything's getting a bit harder, even if we're not personally in burnout. So the answer to how are you for a lot of ND people is going to be not that great, to be honest, but you're not going to find that out if you ask the question, how are you, with a lot of us, because that's not a question we feel able to answer. So, I would love to know if that resonates with you. If you're nodding along thinking, my goodness, yes, I would love to hear about that. Equally, if it doesn't resonate with you at all, but you're curious about the concept of, who in your life would have different preferences for how they'd like to be checked in with and cared for, I really encourage you to reach out and just ask people, and definitely share your own. Whether you're neurodivergent or not, if you have something you wish people asked you on a regular basis, tell them. Because it's such a gift to the people who love and care about us to be told how to best love and care about us. It's certainly something I would want to know for all of the people I care about. You can find me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on TikTok. You can reach out via my website. All the links are in the show notes for this episode. I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Because as I say, in some ways it's a very personal one, but I know that it actually isn't, that we all have our little preferences. And I think the more we share them, the more we're able to be excessively kind to ourselves and each other. And maybe that will help us to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of life. I shall speak to you next time. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to find out how to work with me or how to get your hands on a copy of my book, you can find all of those links in the info for this episode. My huge thanks to Stephanie Ward of the Spicy Brain Collective for sponsoring the whole of this season of the No Bullshit Guide to a Happier Life. You can also find out more about Steph's collective for neurodivergent business owners via the links in the episode info. See you next time.